we're going to look at how we can get from data to a deployed expert system in under 5 clicks. Let's start by looking at some data. Excel. Here we have our sensors for the various flights over time. We can push this into a machine learning algorithm and it will generate us a decision tree. I'm not going to show you that. That's standard. But what we can then do is export the decision tree as PMML, and then we can import that into Prolog. Let's fire up a Prolog and let's import PMML. Go to disk, pull out one of our many PMMLs and load it up. Now, on the left, we see the XML data with all the nodes, the counts and the splits. And on the right, we can see some sort of internal rule representation. We can save that file as a VisiRule chart, CS4, it's my fourth time lucky. And now we will get a VisiRule chart. Let's get that out of the way and we can see some information on it. And it has an average path length of 6.2. Okay. Here's our chart. We can do what we like to it. So one thing we might want to do is say, okay, we don't really need this. We can delete that. Or we can just check those expressions directly. Okay, we could make more changes, but that's enough. So let's save it, CS4. We'll now switch to another Prolog with an uploader, and I will open that file, which was CS4, and we want VisiRule. There we are, top of the tree. Okay, there's the chart. Yeah, we could add in explanations or do other things, but we're just going to push it. So we go to the web, let's call it demo 4, click the right file and push it up to our VisiRule server, cloud-based server, which will walk through this chart, extract all the relevant bits and publish us an interactive web-based questionnaire. It will also generate an SVG image of the chart. So we can now answer the questions generated from this chart interactively. Pause. Now we see the chart. First question, let's put in a value of 0.77, and that takes us to the right, and then maybe let's put in a value of 145. So this is all generated dynamically, and it's useful because it helps me remember what values are going to give me a fairly interesting result. So I'm going to put in something greater than 0.3, so maybe 0.35. And then I want to come down the next branch, which would be, say 26. Okay. That should get me to the end, and it will generate me a report, and the report contains a question trail of all the answers and the whole conversation of the session. So that will appear in a file, and the file is stored on the server, and that file can also be generated as XML, and the XML can be passed through to other processes. So let me now pause. To show you is we can run this chart as a bot. So if I go to my air handler, I can now run it as a bot. Let's select an air handler, select an airport, and now I'm going through the interactive questions, this time with the neural net plugged in, this time with explanations plugged in, and we're doing the same interactive logic, but at this stage we can ask, well, why? Why are you asking me about numerical sensors? And how did we get to this point in time? So we have a much richer interaction going on here. We could have links. So this would be very useful for maybe advising people what was going on. Let me put in a couple more values, 160, and finally 25. And it will come to some conclusion, and it tells me it's a turbine axle bearings, and it can export a trail of this conversation for me. So there we've seen the same logic deployed in multiple ways. Thank you.